Look, it's a weird year in a weird playoff format. Why wouldn't you bet on a team like the Philadelphia Phillies with a front-loaded pitching staff and a middle of the order that can hit against anyone?
You can see how his traits will translate to the next level with some maturation. He has the athleticism, he throws a good deep ball, and he is a precision passer, which is rare for someone his size. So I don't think he lost them the football game, but I think you'd be lying to yourself if you wouldn't rather have Trevor Lawrence.
Don't jump off the Chelsea hype train just yet. I get they spent 200 million euros over the last few months, but these are young players that are adapting to a new lifestyle, a new country, and a new style of play in the Premier League. Keep with Chelsea because they will be in the top 3 at the end of the season. They're far too talented to not finish in the Champions League places.
And the LeBron's responsible for 48% of the restricted area points for the Lakers in the playoffs. So this is an even matchup across the board in a lot of areas of the game, but I'm looking for the Lakers, specifically LeBron and AD, to dominate down low.
That's the microcosm of the Marlins season. People just continue to put them down, and they've shown that they can play really good baseball for good stretches at a time with timely hitting, and their starters can go 5 or 6 innings, which is huge in a playoff series when you're playing 4 or 5 days in a row. I want to put some respect on the Marlins, and this is your CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by Capital One. What's in your wallet? Welcome back to Frustration, Philadelphia Eagles fans. I think Carson Wentz is a top quarterback in football, but in his 5th year, he has to be better for the Eagles to win games. First half on Sunday, we hopped backwards into a time machine and saw 2017 Carson Wentz. 14 of 17, 2 touchdowns, and a passer rating that was almost perfect. It looked like the Eagles were going to win by 50. But then the collapse started. 2 bad interceptions, 2 short fields, 2 touchdowns for the Washington football team. In your 5th year in the league, a player with this much talent cannot do that in a winnable game. This wasn't all on Carson Wentz. He was sacked 8 times, double the amount of any other quarterback on Sunday, and most of the sacks weren't on him. Maybe if Howie Roseman stopped trying to lowball Zach Ertz and focused on signing experienced offensive linemen as backups, the Eagles wouldn't have left their star quarterback to get destroyed this past Sunday in Washington. In 2016, Wentz was telling us he needs to get rid of the ball quicker, stop taking more sacks, hit his checkdowns when he sees them. It's 2020, Carson, don't be all talk. Yes, your team is depleted with injuries, but the best quarterbacks in the NFL can overcome that. Show us some action, because you are far too talented to not have this fixed by now.
As unlikely as it is that they could win, there is still just that slight possibility, and I think the new playoff format has a lot to do with that. It's harder for a team to give up on the season with this.
And I liken this situation to Major League Baseball, where it was a 60-game sprint. You have teams at the trade deadline who are kind of in the middle of nowhere, where they're looking up and they're like, hey, there are added playoff spots. We can make a run. But then again, you don't want to mortgage your whole future for a situation that you're not even sure is going to pan out in the right direction because there are so many teams in the hunt. We just talked about it, and you were right. Not a lot of teams made moves. What was one team that you think should have made the jump and should have become buyers to really push themselves into the forefront of their respective conference?
You know, the Packers, they have lost 2 out of 3, and you know, it's not panic time by any matters. I still really like their odds this season, but one more wide receiver really could have went a long way, and I don't think it would have cost that much.
A name to watch out for, Allen Lazard, 6 receptions, 146 yards at New Orleans before suffering a core injury. The Packers could be banking on him, but I agree. It's been the story for a long time with Aaron Rodgers. He hasn't gotten the help. The Packers have not drafted a wide receiver in the first round, and here they decide to keep their hands in their pockets and not make a move for Will Fuller. What a hectic ending to a great football game. The Arizona Cardinals take down the Buffalo Bills 32-30 as Kyler Murray finds DeAndre Hopkins for a 43-yard Hail Mary with just 2 seconds left for the win. You guys just heard the call. What a moment. Jonathan Banks with you alongside Brian Murphy and Kevin Perez in the studio here in Bristol. Matt Petrie and Kevin Higgins will join us shortly from Glendale with Team Reports. Brian, I'll start with you. Everyone is going to be talking about that last play, and rightly so. DeAndre Hopkins outjumped 3 defenders. Kyler Murray scrambles and makes an unbelievable throw. What did you see on that last play, though, from the Buffalo Bills' perspective that they could have done differently? Because that was just a great play by 2 elite players.
Even though he's triple covered, that's such a low percentage catch, but that throw was perfectly placed. It was perfectly placed.
That's a good point, too. You have two good players making really good plays. I also want to give credit to Cliff Kingsbury, though. Trips to the right to take away 5 defenders from that side of the field. Leave his best player, DeAndre Hopkins, in space. It's in double coverage, but you like those odds in a situation like this. So great coaching to get his playmakers in the best position to win. Jonathan Banks, Brian Murphy, and Kevin Perez here in studio on the NFL Postgame Show on ESPN Radio. The Arizona Cardinals take down the Buffalo Bills on an improbable Hail Mary. Now let's send it down to the team reports, sponsored by Samsung. Inspire the world, create the future. First, we are now joined by Bills beat reporter Kevin Higgins. He's outside State Farm Stadium after the Buffalo Bills suffer a heartbreaking 2-point loss. Now, Kevin, I want to get your thoughts on this. Is the Bills defense not as good as we thought? Because they are stereotypically a team that is built around defense and a power rushing attack, and that's not what they've been so far this year.
This Bills defense is faltering at a level that, quite honestly, we haven't seen them falter at probably over the past 2 or 3 years.
Especially in a playoff race that is heating up in the AFC East, and it's not just the Buffalo Bills. The Miami Dolphins are hot on their tail, too. Thanks, Kevin. And now we're going to flip it to the other side of our team reports with the winning team. Matt Petrie is in Glendale as well. Matt Petrie's weekly spot on our show is sponsored by KFC. It is finger licking good. Matt, thanks for joining us. And the first thing I want to get to is a part of that last play, and that's DeAndre Hopkins. We saw 2 huge trades in the offseason with wide receivers. Stephon Diggs catches a touchdown with 34 seconds left, and DeAndre Hopkins, the game-winning touchdown with 2 seconds left. This game shows that wide receivers still matter, and elite wide receivers are important to winning football games. In your opinion, what has been the impact of DeAndre Hopkins on the Arizona Cardinals so far this season?
Right away, DeAndre Hopkins has revolutionized this team's offense. I spoke with Coach Cliff Kingsbury after the game, and he spoke about the trickle-down effect having a superstar receiver has had on the team because it's opened up the entire offensive dynamic.
Hopkins and the Cardinals with a big win at home. That's all the time we have on the NFL Postgame Show on ESPN Radio. For Brian Murphy and Kevin Perez in studio, and Kevin Higgins and Matt Petrie in Glendale, I'm Jonathan Banks. SportsCenter All Night is next.